Hello, welcome to our second monthly learning session series in the Keep Blooming coaching community. Today, I'm glad to finally connect with and talk with Monica at Simplicity and Productivity Co. And Monica has a beautiful planner that we're going to hear about. But before we even get into that, I've been following Monica for a while. We talk a lot about the same things in terms of vision and goal planning. And so you are all familiar with that here in the group, going through the vision workbook and the goal planning steps. And I think this conversation is going to enhance that for you. And I think this will help any planning you have coming up for the year, or even just the first quarter of the year. And Monica's going to share with us a little bit more about how she got started doing what she's doing now. And we're going to get into some questions about, why even use a planner? Why is journaling fruitful, and kind of what systems she has built in her life that have proved to be fruitful, and we'll hear about that. So welcome, Monica.
For having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you, for people who don't know you, and what you're up to these days.
So my name is Monica Nyango. I was born in Uganda, or Kenya, Uganda. I was baptized Catholic, and I guess blame it on poor catechesis. So along the way, I lost my faith. I came into the United States, and I pursued a degree in nursing. So I have been working as an emergency room nurse for the last few years. I had my daughter outside the church, and through that, in the church, outside the church, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
the grace for conversion. I'm a single mom. So, and through that grace, I have found myself, and truly, she has been a true blessing for my life, and God revealing his beauty in his life. So briefly, so I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a single mom, Catholic. Um, I'm an emergency room nurse. I'm a chorister in a choir. I'm an author. Um, yeah, a mentor, a coach, and all these different things that I now wear multiple hats.
I love it. And that's like so many of us, right? We're multi-passionate, and we're into all these things. And so I would love to hear how you keep all of these different parts of your life going. I know when we were talking about having this conversation, you were talking about, putting systems in place. And I'd be curious to hear what got you to the point of, hey, I need to like have some help with this, and I need to get organized. And also, as just a follow-up to that, what's the difference between, like, say, a system and a habit?
So, what got me into the situation? So, I look at my life like before and after. Um, Most times, the way Catholicism is portrayed, it's portrayed as not life-giving. Like our faith should inform everything. It's the source. It's the beauty. It's the wellspring of everything that comes in our life. So my life before was like that. I feel like I had a veil. I was just going through life like everybody else. When I had my conversion, my spiritual eyes opened. I felt like my intellect was opened. I started engaging more, like more conscious, more being present to things around me. And through that process of conversion, God, in the initial stages, I think He was preparing me for the mission. So a lot of it was understanding the faith, who I am, my identity. That is very, very key. It's very difficult to have goals or a vision of your life if you don't even know your identity. For example, if Jesus didn't even know who he was, he wouldn't know what his mission is. And that is a very core foundation. I was quote unquote baptized Catholic, but I didn't truly have a Catholic identity. I didn't really embrace the identity that I am a son of God. When I say the creed, do I really mean every single word that is being pronounced in that creed? So the first few years was God forming me in that, in really imbibing and absorbing who I am as a daughter of God. And from that, he started my growing in deep intimacy with God through a life of prayer and a life of study, spiritual works and all of that. I started growing and opening my mind to receiving inspiration from God. So I started getting this inspiration, like how I became an author. I was just driving with my daughter and I was just kind of thinking about the scenario, the climate of literature and what I would want to see in literature and what was missing. And so like, okay, why don't I write a book? So that's just the so short story. So then I started researching how do I develop a book. But then I had these promptings. I had a desire to go to mass daily. As a single mom, okay, how do you balance going to mass daily? I was a choir member in my choral program. And then, yeah, so I was balancing. I had a YouTube channel with a friend. So we're doing all these different things. And I was feeling like I would go to mass and I would feel anxious when I come back. Like I would feel lost. And it's like, what am I doing? Where was I? I would feel like lost. And I'm like, okay, if I'm doing something good, why am I feeling this anxiety? And that's the beauty about God. When there's a little bit of unrest or overwhelm, it's just an opportunity for you to dig in and really dig in, like, Lord, what are you showing me here? And where are you trying to lead me? So the problem wasn't the mass is good, because it comes as a temptation. The devil will be like, oh no, mass is not good. That's why you're feeling anxious. Don't go.
Right.
The resolution that I will not compromise on going to daily mass. Like that is my non-negotiable. So, and what happened, and sorry, I'm bouncing around because it's a lot of information, but I'm just trying to get the bigger story. What happened before my conversion, I used to spend 6 hours a day in the gym. Like, so I felt like that was my idol. God's giving everything. So now I tell people mass is my reason to miss, and I can't miss mass. I go to mass. Now I don't have a workout regimen, like that is my list priority. So it's very important to have the right order. God first, your vocation. Are you a wife? Or are you a student? And then I'm a mother. And then whatever mission God is calling me, and then possibly health, and maybe family and friends, depending on which one. But the order is always God, your vocation. So that was disordered. It's very difficult to have goals if it's disordered, because as Catholics, we have to understand the Catechism says you were born to know. Why were we born? Those were the first questions I asked myself. Why do I exist? When I saw my daughter, I'm like, why do I exist? Like, life is so meaningless if we're just born to die. So the question is, why do we exist? And we have to really understand what the Catechism says. The Catechism says that you were born to know, to love, to serve God, and be with Him forever. So if we're really born to know, to serve, to love God, and be with Him forever, how are we living that authentically? And Jesus was an example of that. The Blessed Mother was that. I talked about it on my Instagram. I was just kind of, one of the things that I see in the Catholic, well, there are 4 things: a misalignment, there's a fragmentation, a loss of identity, and there's the 4th one. I can't remember what it is, but I was just kind of reflecting. The fragmentation, meaning that misalignment, meaning like this is God's will and this is my will. And it's like God is saying go this way, and it's like I want to go this way. God is saying the greater good today. Is it the good? Is it for me to go to mass, or is the greater good for me to go to the club? It's like, oh no, I'm going to go to the club. Already that's a misalignment. As a Catholic, what value? Okay, you're supposed to rest and have leisure. What value is going to the club going to help you? So that is kind of a misalignment. And a fragmentation, meaning that this is my Catholic life and this is my worldly life. Okay, I'm going to use Tony Robbins or Oprah for my worldly life, and then I just come to Sunday mass, and that's it. The Catholic life is so rich, so full of wisdom of how to live, from food, from anything. Like my time principles are from Catholic principles. So it's like we are missing such a great treasure and wealth of information when we are fragmented. It's like, okay, I'll listen to Tony Robbins and Oprah, but I won't listen to what Jesus says about time. Time is our greatest gift. When we appear before God on our judgment, we'll give account of a stewardship of a time, talent, and treasure. So if we don't have that right, and we're like, okay, this is my Sunday life, we've got everything wrong. So that is a fragmentation. Identity, because I work in the ER, I saw a lot of high rates of suicide and depression. And 99.9%, rarely have I found people in the hospital who is suicidal and depressed and were non-Catholic. They were either baptized, or maybe they didn't know their faith, or baptized as children. Always they say they were baptized as children. When they say they were baptized as children, right, I'll be like, okay, they're Catholic. So one way, pro catechesis, for a million reasons why, I don't know. But the point is that that 99.9% they were Catholic of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why is the issue? Why are Catholics baptized? And then I started reflecting. So it is an issue of identity. We do not truly understand that by the rite of a baptism, I am being called to be a son of God. Jesus never doubted that. And the other day I was reading scripture, I shared it on Instagram, that he said, my food is to do the will of the Father. So if you truly understand that your food is to do the will of the Father, then your goal should come from that. And so how are you authentically living that out with God? And how are you discerning every moment and seeking what he's doing? So in that moment, when I was having the problem is not the mass. It's very important for me to go to mass. The problem was I didn't have the right systems in place. I was a single mother. I'm the housekeeper, I'm all these a million things. I'm the businesswoman, I'm the author, I'm all these different things, but I didn't have a system. So I started having all this, but through that anxiety, that's when God is pushing you to do better, to a stronger version. So dig in deeper and try to find a solution. It's like, where is God leading me? So through that, I started researching, and I was talking to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know why I'm feeling this. And she's like, well, look at the monks. They're the most productive. Why are they most productive? Because they have structure. They have structure throughout the day. We do not have structure, especially now in the world where we live. We do not have structure. We are being pulled all over the place in this way and that way. Like, we are not intentional. So this is what the Life of Purpose plan is about: intentionality. Like, really understanding, I am Liz, I am the daughter of God, and I have been called and I have been entrusted with this mission. I don't think the Blessed Mother would sit there and say, like, oh, what is my intention today? She was intention. She was so laser focused. So it was very easy. If she had goals, she knew what her North Star was. So the misalignment, we have to come to the root, because it's very difficult to have clear goals if you don't have a clear root. So like I said, the formation was very, very critical to really absorb that. And then take the time to understand, like, God, what are you calling me to do? So at that time I was thinking, okay, God, like, through my problem, my experience in the ER, God was calling me to a mission of purpose, to move people to a life of purpose. And so I was like, okay, that's my mission. All right, but you're calling me to be an author as well. Okay. And so looking at that as well and saying, okay, this is where you're calling me. And so looking at all these different things, how can I so when my mom told me, like, look at the monks, they have structure, so their day is very ordered. So I am not in the monastery, but how can I live an ordered life that reflects, that is integrated into my faith? How does that look like? Okay, mass is my number one priority for the day. My prayer life is the number one priority. So I have a system. When I get up, I have my morning prayers, I read scripture to really show, like, Lord, I'm giving you this day. I want to hear what you have to give me today. Where are you leading me today? I do work in the ER some days of the week. So it's like, in the planner, it gives you 3 priorities a day. Like, you can only have 3 priorities. So this is a combination of behavioral psychology, research from highly productive individuals, and combining all of this and looking at monks. So number 1, it gives you structure. If you feel like you're scattered all over the place, take the time, go into adoration, and sit with the Lord and ask the Lord, you have given me this time. How do you want me to invest this time? And he will tell you, and he'll give you clarity. If you're seeking truly to do the will of God, he'll give you clarity on where to do. And also a good book is Practicing the Presence of God. Being present. Like, okay, right now, God is asking me to be present to Liz right now. This is his will in this moment. So this is what I am going to do. I have my daughter. She's not ignored. She's, but this is what God is calling me. And being present, because it's like, we have to have that presence. So it's like, you don't want to just go through stuff like running all over the place. Like, I am very intentional. When I'm in the ER, I'm focused on what God is putting in front of me. When I'm at mass, I'm very focused. So you can, in the sense that having that structure of your day, of how to manage the chaos. And then number 2 is writing things down. Well, my problem was I had multiple projects, but I wasn't writing things down. So it was very difficult to gather the information. And even like writing things down helps declutter your brain and really put things down. It's kind of like, okay, let's see what we have on the table. What am I working with? And put them down. And once you're visualizing them, it's easy to see what you need to pursue or what you shouldn't pursue. So it's very nice, like, to do that. And even actually, there's a study that was published in a university in Japan. Psychologically, it's very, like, technology has its advantages, but psychologically, writing has proven to be, like, very important for productivity and all these things, because when you're writing, it's a psychological process. You're thinking about your thought, and whilst you're writing down your thought, you're processing it. We are intellectual beings, so we're going through that process. With technology, it's just taking these sound bites, and it's like you're not processing. You're having all this mental overload, but you're not decomposing the ideas that you're receiving. So, and then once, like, for example, God has given me an idea to write a book, write the book down. Okay, how can I go about mapping this book out? All right, I need to do this, I need to do this. So you map out everything, the processes. Then you get that, okay, what are the steps I need to do to get to publishing? And then you write your goals there. Or and simplicity came from that. Like, okay, let's make a planner and offer why it's 90 days. It's any business, financial or anything, you have 90, like, you look at your quarter and then the next season, like, so you can be actual growth. And that's why it's 90 days. If you're not able to track yourself 90 days and see, like, okay, where was I 100 years ago and where was I 2 years later? Am I truly growing? Have I truly accomplished the mission and the goals that God has entrusted me? Because that's a sin of omission and commission. That's a lack of diligence, of constancy, and all these different things. So there's a lot of vice in there as well. So you see, if you see, like, okay, I had this goal to write a book 2 years ago and I'm still in the same place, what is the problem here? And it's like opportunities of grace that you're limiting other people from receiving it, and what are the narratives you're telling yourself of why you shouldn't? So you need to look deep and say, okay, well, 2 years I haven't moved this goal, why aren't I moving this goal? You know what I mean? So having that there. So in the planner, it's a reflective journal, kind of like an examination of conscience for your time. You plan out the quarter. What is God calling me when the month begins? Where is God calling me? Well, maybe we'll show it later, but where is God calling me for the month? Have your main goals. You can only have, like, top 5 goals for the month. For example, like, what am I doing for December? Oh yeah, for December, we are doing an Advent series. And then I'm hosting a big event, a Catholic Arts Festival here in Los Angeles. I also participating in another event at another parish. So in terms of my goals for the month, those are my big goals of the month. Of course, I'm a mother. I don't have specific goals, family time. It's built into you, like going to daily mass. I have habituated it. And this is why we're talking about the habit tracker. You want to track yourself to habituate good things. So I have habituated myself to go to mass and have this prayer routine that is so natural to me that I don't even have to write it. The goal is you want to habituate these things, and that's why you have a habit tracker and write things down, so that you habituate the core things that is so natural that if you don't do it, you would go crazy. Like, if you pray, so you can imagine, like, the monks, they have the structure in the day, and if they don't say Lords or Vespers, it's like, whoa, something is wrong here.
Right. So what I loved about what you were sharing in terms of your journey is you were talking about there came a point where you realized you were not living a right ordered life, and you had to look deeper into that. And for this community, if you haven't dove into that heart goal method that I have in the workbook, I think that'll really help you with that. And you also mentioned, Monica, about knowing who you are and your identity in Christ and in the body of Christ, and living intentionally. And that's what while I think people can't articulate that they want to live intentionally, that's what they want, because they feel like they're scattered all over the place, or they feel as though they're being they got to get this thing done, and why haven't I gotten this done yet? And so what I like what you're sharing is that you have now created a planner that has that structure that you're talking about, writing it down, which is something we talk about in this community all the time, and then keeping track of your progress, which is huge, not only just for personal accountability, but also to see the growth, like you said. And so I'm curious, when you got into developing this planner, you know, how has this planner helped you in your daily life? Or maybe you have people who have used it and have told you about it. I would love to hear some of the fruits of using a planner properly, and like, why is that a good thing?
Yeah, so number one, it's given me freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, the daughter of God that God has called me. Nobody owes your time but you. And sometimes you have to look deeper. When somebody says, you need to do this right now, like, okay, you need to calm down. Like, you don't own me. God, my time is my own. That is the gift God has given me. So it has given take ownership of my time. But also, like, when we are controlled by other people, then it's like you have to look deeper. Am I looking for human respect? Do I lack, so that's why I keep saying there's so many deeper things that are going on. And that's why we dance to every, oh my goodness, I have to do this because this person is going to get mad. Okay, you know. And also, I think one thing in the ER has helped me, like, okay, you're not dying, it's okay, we'll get to it, you know. And it's like, what you're being called to least today is whatever God has called you. When you die today, God has given you what he's given you. I have my accountability before God. When he asked me, Monica, I gave you this day, what did you do with it? Oh, my mother told me to do this and she didn't know she was going to shoot me. Oh, so, okay, well, but you know what I'm trying to make. And it's like, okay, we cannot allow other people to manipulate
Mm.
it. You take ownership of it and you determine with God where you're putting that time and where he's calling you to do. Like, Jesus was not getting pulled into so many different things. He was very intentional. Like, I am going to Bethlehem, I'm going to this because this is this, I'm going to this. He was laser focused on where he's going. The best mother, I'm going, she was focused on going to Elizabeth. I am going to Elizabeth. She was like, oh yeah, this person is here and this person is here. She was very laser focused because what was God's will in the moment? So you have to ask, what is God's will in the moment? What is he asking me to do? Because salvation, it's like Jesus says, not everybody that says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of God, but only he who does the will of God. So the goal is habituating yourself so much that you're able to discern the will of God on a moment's notice and being able to choose the greater good in that moment. And what it has given me is so much freedom, so much peace, that I own my time. I decide where my time is being put. And I am not controlled by, like, I answer to God and I know he's my father and he's called me to this. So it gives me so much peace and freedom. And it allows me to bear so much fruit because I have been able to set boundaries on my time. And I cannot allow other people's anxiety influence my decisions on where I'm putting my time, because I've already made a clear plan. Okay, like the story of the Good Samaritan, when the guy was bleeding, if somebody is bleeding, are you going to walk past them because you have to go to mass? No, that is why you habituate this. If you have a strong prayer life, you habituate that discernment process. Like, what is God calling me to do right now? And you're able to focus. The goal is to focus on what God is calling you to do in that moment. God is not a tyrant. God is a father. He's a loving father. And whatever he's choosing to do, to ask you to do in that moment, it is for your greater good. I have been working the ER. I don't want to go there. I'm being honest. Like, I have been trying, but the Lord is like, go there. And it's like, okay, but Lord, this is what you want for me. So I have to be laser focused and go there. And
Mm-hmm.
in my business, that allow it to continue to operate even when I'm not there. Until when the Lord says, Monica, okay, this is it, I don't want you in the ER, then that door closes. But right now, he wants me still there. So being able to think with that kind of mindset, and that is freedom, that is the number one thing. We talk about freedom in America, like, that's not the freedom. A freedom to be truly the child of God. And that's why you find the true happiness, the true joy, the true simplicity of life. Because it's like, okay, for example, I'll give my day to day. I wanted to speak with you because that's what God is calling me to share that story. I'm going to mass. And then we need to do my homeschooling with my daughter. And then I have business tasks that I need to take care of. Okay, but is it going to be like, oh, I'm so stressed and this and that and that? No, I have dishes in the sink that need to be washed, but that is no reason for me to have anxiety about it. Somewhere through the day, I can, while I'm making breakfast, put the dishes away. So it's like, okay, we have to figure out, like, what is making me anxious. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the things that are going to drive your results. And all the other ones are just little things like, okay, like why, like there's no flip out because the dishes stayed for 5 minutes. The world is not going to end. And that's why I say some of it is a lot of vice underneath that we have to like go deeper and purify that vice. It's like, why am I anxious? The world is not going to end, if the sometimes we give ourselves so much pressure, pressure to perform, pressure to prove. Like, why? Like, they're humans like you. So, and that's why I keep saying back to identity, like wanting to exert or prove something to you. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. God is the one who sees you, and it's like, as long as it's okay with God, as a wife, yes, you find your day throughout your day. Are you fulfilling your duties as a mother? Yes, I'm fulfilling my duties. My daughter is not neglected. I'll make her beautiful breakfast, and we'll enjoy that. And we'll go to mass and enjoy the day. And if the Lord brings people along the day, we'll enjoy and say hello to them and smile and be present to them. And when I get home, I'll get to my tasks. The world is not falling apart, you know so, and that's why I was saying, like, we put so much pressure on ourselves for a need to perform, but it's like, okay, who am I comparing myself to, and who's this? And it's between you and God. And so I don't know if I answered your question.
No, and what I'm hearing now and what I really appreciate is that in all of these pressures that we perhaps put on ourselves, is that we really need to look deeper. So for example, your planner, it's a beautiful tool and it's very helpful in terms of structure, the habit tracking, the progress, and all of that. But that's only going to take you so far unless you're willing to go deeper as to, why do I have anxiety around this? Why do I feel like I'm not getting anything done? Why, right? And so I think that's a really good point with any planning, is it's between you and God, and it's God's will. And so if he has you in a season, as you say, Monica, you're working in the ER and you're working your business. So you're doing two things, and that's where he has you right now.
Yeah, I have like plus and all.
Yeah. So I think, for a lot of us, there's that tendency to kind of fight the season that we're in. Like, well, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. Well, no, he has you here right now. And I think that is something that a lot of people struggle with too, when they're talking about, okay, well, here I am. I have this planner. I'm going to plan for the future. But part of planning for the future is really just that aim, that goal of what you're moving toward. And every day gets you closer to that. And every day you have to do God's will. Yes, you can have these dreams that you want to turn into goals, and we need to have that, kind of summit of where we're aiming for. And I think that's important to have kind of direction and stepping out in faith on the path that you feel God is calling you to walk. But at the same time, we need to take it down to the day to day. And, have I spent time with God? Have I met my obligations to my family? Okay, now it's time to work, And so I think that's really important. And there's something on, I found them on Instagram, but I think he has an email too, the monk mindset. You've probably seen that too. It's a really, really pretty cool platform to check out as well. So tell me, Monica, how do we get your planner, and what are some kind of the key points in that planner that we would like to take a look at?
Yeah, so the planner is on simplicityandproductivity.com. So what happened is that when I started reflecting about why were people having difficulty setting goals or vision, is they lack a vision for their life. And then they lack a vision, there's a problem with identity. And that's why now we have the Catholic Pathways, where we're taking people into this interior work. We're working with mindset coaches, but also we've built formational videos to help them really go into deeper, like, mindset questions. Who am I? And so we meet, like, have co-working sessions where we go into the root of who you are, because it's very difficult to have goals if that is not resolved, because you're going to be shooting the wrong way. And it's like,
right.
okay, you're shooting the wrong way, and the Lord is like, go this way, and you can't even discern his way, then that's a problem. So a lot of us, we have wounds actually. So the Advent series we're going to be doing is about what is holding you from fulfilling that thing that God has held you. What is holding you back from being truly free? Jesus said, I came that they may have life and have life in the fullness. This is the life of the fullness, life of purpose. And it's like, so this, with the mindset coach, Jack, he's a Catholic mentor, we're going to be running this series through Advent, but it's like going deep into your heart. What is that obstacle that is holding you back from not having clear goals? And so then you have to dig deeper in through that. And so the vision clarity guide is there because that will be the best investment for yourself to really understand yourself and meditate and really journal out all these different things. Then you can be clear, because otherwise you'll be, whatever you're pursuing, it's vanity. It's not, it doesn't have an end. It has no fruit. It has no impact. And then you're going to wait 2 years down the road. You're going to be burnt out, and it's not life-giving because you're doing the wrong thing and you've wasted your time. So if you just invest the time, like slow down. And that's why I'm saying you put so much anxiety on ourselves. Like we want to be this way, but why are you putting that pressure? Like God desires you to be the greatest saint and the greatest person you've ever been. Virtue and the life of excellence, like it's a life of excellence. God desires for you to be the best person. I never knew I was an author, an entrepreneur, could do multiple things. I never did until I surrendered completely. So there's a lot of surrender that needs to happen so that you become that malleable thing in God's hands, so he can mold and shape you and make you the greatest person that he has in mind. We are like children. We don't even know what that is. So we can be, it's like write your goals in pencil, because the Lord is going to, like I didn't know I could do all of these things. I didn't know, but now it's like, okay, I understand he's calling me to this and he's calling me to this. Okay, now I have this beef. So okay, from a business perspective, what do I want to see at the end of the year? What are the things? So I have like clear implementation goals. And am I growing in the season of patience? Am I growing in virtue? Am I growing in these different things? So those are the very key things that you need to have clarity of mind. You cannot set the goals if you don't have the clarity of mind. So, and that's why we have the Vision Clarity Guide. We have the Catholic Pathways community where people can get to do the deep work. And after that, like I tell people, I have done the most things in 3 years than I could ever do with my whole entire life. Like that is how God will surprise you. If you just take the time to do the interior work and not put that pressure on yourself, and really make sure that you're having that interior growth, because the growth comes from inside and then it pours out outside. And that's the fruit. You desire excellence, it will come from the inside. So if you're fixing and like, I want to build this house, I want to build this house, I want to build this house, and you're driving yourself anxiety, like the house you should build is in your heart. And when you build in your heart, all the love will pour out. The grace will come from your heart and pour out into the world, and you'll have the impact that you desire. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't do it for impact or whatever accolades, but you should do it because you love God. So if that there's a disconnect as a foundation, it's very difficult to even have clear goals there. But what this does, the planner, is it gives you structure. Like, honestly, I reflected about this, and this is the propriety. Like, this is the intellectual. This is where the diamond is. I have a daughter, she's 8 years old, and I hope she masters the system when she grows. The problem is, the more we are going, the world progresses, we are going into so much technology, so much distraction, and you're fighting this battle to take ownership back of your time. This is the tool that will teach you the mindset of how to take ownership of your time. But you have to know why you're taking ownership of your time. So it's giving you the structure. Okay, so let's go on the month, for example. So, and it says, the life of a planner, write your name. Jesus said, God says, I knew you before the world. I formed you in your mother's womb. So this is the art that reflects that. To remind you, reflect about that. What does that mean for you? Like, we wanted to really internalize that. Like this, I knew you, like God formed you, like I have set you apart. What does that mean for you? So when you write your goals, write it with that mindset. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. And these are reminders when you go through the planner to remind you. And here is a text on find your purpose. People ask me, what is the life of purpose? There are high rates of depression, anxiety. The reason why there's high rates of depression and anxiety is people don't have a life of purpose. So here it is. And then here it's the section where I said, figure out what are your top 5. You look at your time. Where are you spending the most time? If you're spending your time as a Catholic, if more than 50% of your time is not spent in God, then you need to revisit that. like practicing the presence of God, like set time, like that monk mindset account you're talking, set time for prayer. It's a relationship. You're hearing from God and receiving from him so you can go and implement and execute on that mission. So set those structure and set specific times where you anchor, where that spring and get that life that will push you and propel you into the world to do God's will. There are productivity hacks in here, like some systems build your life around 4 or 5 things. So like I said, family, so it's less, so you're not scattered. So I know my duty is this. So somebody says, Monica, go to the club. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Nobody even would ask me that. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, that's a good thing. It's rest, it's leisure. Maybe can we schedule it on a time? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And for the month, this is top goals. Like you have top 5 goals. Nothing more than that. Like I said, okay, from a business stance. So now I track mainly my business goals. Like, okay, we need to advance series. Have we implemented the funnels? Have we done this? Have we done this? Okay, do we need to we're launching a new platform. Okay, do we have everything ready? So top 5 goals. I need the platform live. I need this. I need that. Top 5 goals. What is going to drive? So my planner now is focusing on more the system and methodology is more on focusing on what is propelling my mission forward. And so this focus is right now, not more of my interior life, because I now already have a system for my interior life. Like I already have my prayer regimen, like the monk mindset. I have that primary structure in place already that I don't need to remember, like, oh, I have the rosary. Like it's so inbuilt naturally. Like mass is at 12 o'clock at my parish. So I wake up, already know it's 12 o'clock. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do the homeschool and then we'll go there. So I don't have to write it down to remember that. So it's more about like my mission and my goals. Am I driving my results forward? And then like maybe your top 10 or 12 things that you want to see at the end of the month. So it's a 90-day planner. At the end, you want to look, okay, did I do all that I set out? Okay, why did I do that? Oh, okay, maybe I missed it, because sometimes we are being hyper stimulated with so much information and things get lost. And I'm like, oh, wow, I forgot about that. Let's follow up on that,
Mm-hmm. And what I love about a written planner as opposed to something online. I mean, I have both because people have to make an appointment with me, digitally, but I always keep a written planner. And what I love about it is, like you said, it forces you to stop and slow down and take a look at your priority and what's happening. And I also appreciate a lot of this. I could see where somebody might be like, well, I'm not a robot. No, of course you're not a robot. But having the structure in place actually, as you said, Monica, gives you more freedom, because either number one, what's already expected of you in terms of, spiritual commitments or work commitments. And then the rest, okay, now, okay, oh, look, I have this block of time here. Am I just going to rest? Or is there something I need to tend to? And so that's where I think the freedom comes in the owning of your time, which I think is so important, because like, as you say, people get caught in the trap of, oh, well, somebody told me I have to do this for them, or I'm expected to do this. And it's like, no. It is your time. And I think that's what people forget. So Monica, so is it a simple thing of we just go onto your website and order the planner? That's pretty much it, right?
So yeah, all of it is just the box to write it, like it's kind of almost self-directory, like top 3 priorities, reflect. It's kind of like an examination of conscious of your time, talents, and treasure. And so you plan at the beginning of the month. And if I was on my judgment, if God asked me, how can I give an account at the end of the month? So these are the practical ways of how I'm living this out day to day. And yeah, like it's restricting. It's joy. Like we take in what the world tells us, what Oprah or Tony Robbins tells us, and it's crap, like it's like Like, you're not going to stand before Oprah or Tony Robbins. Yeah, you can learn some systems here and there. I like what's the guy of Atomic Habits. Like, holiness is about building habits, and that's why we have the habit tracker in the back. Figure out, like, okay, if I have anxiety about these things, what are the habits I can start building now to mitigate that? So you track yourself. It takes 21 days, and that's why we have the habit tracker there. It takes 21 days to build a habit. There's a project organizer in the back. If you have multiple projects like me, where are you process, are you making progress, month 1, month 2? It's like kind of holding yourself. There's a lot of inspirational art by Catholic artists to help you like focus and say, okay, they lived out their mission well. How can I look to them as inspiration? So and also having like quotes to remind you of that. Looking back at the end of the day, of the week, what are your wins? What are not your wins? What are your highlights? What are lowlights? So if you're going to the root of the issue, why am I anxious? At the end of the week, have I given into anxiety about this? Okay, the low light, this, and what can I do to better how you're making progress? And that's why we are working with the mindset coaches and all of this to help support people. And also we have the community, because the community is more about the interior work. Of course, you can ask about time management, but I can tell you, like, okay, manage your time. Time management is not, like there's a diligence, but it's more about stewarding, being. But if you don't know why you're being a good steward, so the community is more about really understanding yourself. Because if we equip you to understand yourself, you don't need that support, because if I'm just giving you pieces of information here and there, then it's like it's not fruitful. I can give you all the time management strategy. This is time management strategy, or I can give you all of that, but it's like the work is inside it that needs. So if that work is not done, it will be very difficult to execute in anything else.
Exactly. And I really appreciate that. So we always have to dig deeper. You always have to ask why, get curious about what you're struggling with. And that's one of the things this planner will do, is especially, getting it out of your brain and onto paper. Well, Monica, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful planner, but mostly sharing your story and just really encouraging us to dive deeper, because as you say, none of this stuff will work if you don't know what's in your heart. And that's what it really gets down to. So Monica, thank you so much. And I will be sharing, your website, your site for the planner, and just how people can follow you and reach out to you and everything. And so thank you.
I've been paid to plug this in, but this book just came out. And I think if you've read the book, Atomic Habits by the guy, it's by Catholic University of America. Virtue is human excellence. So when you're saying like, okay, what habits do I need to be working on? This, he describes it here as a Catholic. This is what we need to be measuring ourselves on. If I'm growing in virtue, am I growing in these areas? So this is a very good thing to invest in that personal growth, in personal development, because you cannot build on a house that is shaky. But understanding the underlying principles, the life of Catholicism, when we pray, it should produce this fruit. People should see the world, these super habits, and this should be like second nature, because on our judgment will be measured by virtue we have attained. So knowing this is a practical way of saying, okay, do I have these virtues? And even like he explains in the book, like organizations are now beginning to know, like, oh, we need this. People are now just like, oh, I do me, but it's like, no, and God knew in his wisdom that we need harmony and balance in society, and we need virtuous people in order to have virtuous businesses and all these different things. I work in the hospital, and it's just crazy. There's no virtue, and it's like it's dog eat dog world, and it's like it's really sudden, and you can see the importance of why virtue is important. So I haven't been asked to promote this, but I think it's something valuable if you're looking to plan goals for the new year. Maybe adoration should be the number one, making a consistent show, going to adoration, having your rosary time, and investing in studying the word of God, maybe through scripture or studying from the saints, and maybe this on a practical personal development level. That to me, Vision Clarity Guide, if you're not clear about where God is calling you, then the Vision Clarity Guide from Simplicity. If you want to get the planet, now you're sure about your vision, where you want to go. You just need systems of how to execute on your mission and make sure that you're intentional with your time and not being pulled all over. Then the life of purpose is for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Thank you for that recommendation, and I'll make sure people have all the links to get to the right places. Thank you again, Monica.
God bless you.